I want them to have a struggle, but also a sort of safe landing place from which, they know they're never going to go hungry or be homeless or anything like that. But at the same time, not just be given everything and that they have to work. Because I feel like the main sort of purpose in everything is responsibility and trying to make something of your life. So if you're just handed everything, I don't feel like there's much fun or interest or much to do in that sort of circumstance. So yeah, definitely give them everything they need to feel safe and secure and have that safe sort of space, but not enough so that they get lazy and don't have that drive.
So please give us the TLDR.
Cool. Cheers, Charlie. So way back in the day, about, 15 years or so ago, some friends and I left university. We spent a bit too long at university and ended up doing postgrad research, all that kind of stuff, and thought, why not try and commercialize some of it? So we started a company called ecoPortal, and that was around trying to help companies sort out their health and safety management. Started off in the environmental space, but then no one really wanted to pay for environmental management, so we pivoted, and that did quite well. When I left, it was about 20 people. I think it's grown to about 100 people now. So
Nice.
what was a great learning experience. I was there about 10 years, and then while we were doing that, we bootstrapped the whole way. And when you're bootstrapping, things are just stressful the whole time, trying to figure out, how to pay yourselves and how to hire new people. Because, when you've got a new business, you constantly have problems that need solving, and people to help out with that. So it was always balancing, cash versus trying to fill all those different holes throughout the business. And yeah, sometimes we were staring massive cash flow holes, staring at them and trying to work out how to close them. And we just lived on spreadsheets the entire time. And after, a few years at that, I thought there has to be a better way of doing this. And when I left that company, I thought, well, why not try and build something better than what's currently out? There's lots of apps that do cash flow management. Yeah, none of them really let you get down to the operational level and say, hey, this isn't coming in. This is going to come in next week or next month. So what does that do to our cash flow? Or, if we hire this person and this other person doesn't pay, what's going to happen? So yeah, accounting software like Xero, really good at looking into the past. But if you want to look into the future and really understand your cash flow, just having a tool that does that, that isn't a spreadsheet. Because while spreadsheets are great, they take a long time to update. And with cash flow, as soon as you updated one, it's instantly out of date. So just trying to take the pain away from that is my goal at the moment, to make it easier for small sort of medium-sized businesses to understand what's going to be in the bank in the next month or week or day.
Yeah,
that they can make informed decisions.
yeah, that's really cool. I mean, we saw it work. I have a few cash flow modeling spreadsheets I use within our business, and a lot of our portfolio companies are also dealing with the same issues. So it's definitely something that I can resonate with. I think it's hard to get off of the spreadsheet once you're on your own. But the problem with the spreadsheet and the benefit is that the customizability of your situation being quite unique is quite a nice piece of the spreadsheet. However, the spreadsheet constantly will break, and spreadsheets aren't really good for long duration use cases where things are changing and time is moving. It's very bad at that. It's that kind of where it falls over, and where a database would be a better solution. Spreadsheets kind of just struggle with that. Yeah. But quite nice in certain cases, because you can change things quite easily and do some customization. But yeah, your solution is definitely really nice, and I really liked how it worked. I want to kind of use it some more. That's really, yeah, that's really cool. So, what were the kind of, I guess, what was the moment, or was the moment when you decided to kind of start putting your research to commercial use, I guess, is what I'm kind of ascertaining from your introduction, at what point did you think, oh, I want to start thinking about how to kind of be more commercial and build my wealth, or build kind of some outcomes after spending so much time in university?
Um, so I was really lucky. I was in with this group of people that were that way inclined and that way minded. Now that I've done some entrepreneurship stuff for a long time, I can't think of anything else. But I mean, I was probably on the track to getting that job. I was doing mechatronics, and sort of the only job you can get in New Zealand for that was working at Fisher and Paykel. I just remember this day where everyone was in their suits, all going to get interviews at the same place, of competing for the same jobs, and that just didn't really theme for me. I wanted, more of a handly in the problems I was wanting to solve, or the things that I wanted to build. So yeah, when I was doing postgraduate research, you kind of get the direction that you're in, and that you're going in, what you're going to be researching. So that was quite a good fit with entrepreneurship, because you can choose what you want to research, and then apply that to something or a problem that might actually help businesses, and they might derive value from that. So that was kind of the idea. It all kind of synergized quite well. Sometimes it's hard, juggling those two things together and trying to make them work. But that was yeah, that was it. I was in with a good group of people, and yeah, just worked really well to research and commercialize at the same time.
Nice. That's cool. And that worked out just with the smoothie machine going on. So, okay, cool. So you kind of had the right group of people around you. Your peers were, hang on. Mm. We apparently go for round two on this state. So we'll like, just wait
And
a moment.
all about working from home.
Yes.
Who knows? There might be an appearance from my 15-month-old daughter running for that at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, my dog is just sat next to me getting pats now. Okay. I think the, I think the smoothie is well smooth. Okay, let's carry on. Okay, so you're around the right group of people. A bunch of them were entrepreneurial minded, perhaps more than you were at that point. And then you get to a situation where you've trained for something where the employment base is relatively small, and you had that awkward moment where you were competing against all of your peers that you'd spent years collaborating with, and that must have been quite a interesting and difficult kind of moment in time. And then I guess that was where you started kind of getting more exposed to entrepreneurship, and now obviously it's just second nature to you. Um, did th- was there an outcome in mind that you had? Like, was there a naive outcome when you started? Because typically we start getting a new train of thought or a new obsession or a new interest, and there's often this probably unrealistic idea of what it'll look like and expectation of what the outcomes could be. Did you have that? Did you wrestle with that?
Yeah, so I mean, research and entrepreneurship is a real winding journey. There's always pivots and new information, and I mean, whenever you start out with anything like that, you start with a guess, right? And you guess what is going to be useful to other people, and you've just got to try and validate that as fast as possible, and then build on it, and try and take advantage of what comes out of that. So there was a lot of that. I think at the start, the idea was we're all researching different things, and that would spin out each person's research into separate products, and have this whole company with multiple products that were all based on all of these different things, and that all synergize perfectly together, and it all work out wonderfully. But in reality, that's not what happened at all. We started with one person's research, and that ended up not being commercially viable. And then we pivoted onto something that no one else had even, looked at before, because that's where the market lay. But I mean, yeah, you got to be in for the journey, and you've got to love it and just go with it. Because I think at the end of the day, what I really love, what makes me really excited, is building things.
Mm,
So as long as I'm building something that's really cool, I'm happy. And
totally.
yeah,
Do you feel like research lends itself to entrepreneurship then, given the uncertainty when doing research because you don't know the answer?
I think so. And I mean, I was talking to someone else. I did another webinar the other day on, taking PhD research and making it commercial. And the person interviewing me was really surprised that we'd taken that route, because so many people that she talks to don't. So to me, it should be, kind of a no-brainer sort of decision. But there are a lot of people that don't do that. But really, when you think about it, researchers and commercialization, they share a lot of similar skill sets. You've got to be curious, you've got to be a seeker, and seek out the problems and seek out the solutions, and make sure that what you're solving is something that needs to be solved, and talk to customers and all of that kind of thing. And you've got to be tenacious and stick with it.
Mm,
Because if you're flitting from thing to thing, you're never going to give anything a good enough go to actually get to a point where you're successful. So I feel like researchers, or successful researchers and entrepreneurs, share all of that. So yeah, I don't see why they shouldn't, and there shouldn't be more of that. I think maybe culturally, in universities, there's this silo of academia, and that's really kept very separate from the outside world, where things actually happen. Uh, and I think it takes a special kind of mindset to break through that. But once you have, it's yeah, I think there's a lot of value um, getting there. And that was what was really great about the research group I was with. It was all about embedding researchers in companies outside, and doing action research, and actually learning um, through that type of thing. So I was embedded in this company called Criterion.
mm,
Unfortunately, they lost the battle with Chinese imports, but for a while they were the largest ready-to-assemble furniture manufacturer in Australasia. I think they were shipping about 500,000 ready-to-assemble pieces of furniture each year. So kind of like IKEA, but New Zealand's version of that.
right.
And yeah, I was in that company. It was really big. It was quite a big factory with all these very fancy machines building a lot of very cool furniture. And that was what I was researching. It was really interesting, and really I mean, you learn a lot more than you would in the classroom when you're in OLE, and applying what you're researching to the real world. I mean, I was given a role, mass customization manager there, and so I was trying to bring customization on a mass scale to
Yeah.
the factory. And you're not going to get a job like that out of university, and you're not going to get the experience from doing a job like that. As a graduate, but as a researcher, um,
Right.
I did, and that was
That's quite interesting. Yeah. That's a definite upside to doing the research. You got put into a role that you would not maybe be able to otherwise, which gave you experience that was hugely beneficial and probably propelled your career years ahead of what it could have been if you were a graduate working at some company doing some part of the bigger picture, I guess. Um, when you guys were bootstrapping, how long did it take you guys to be able to, I guess, pay yourselves reliably?
many years. So we kind of dipped our toe into it. I guess we probably started like the business in around 2008, 2009. I'd say until we were like reliably paying ourselves was probably 2014, 2015. And between that, it was just a bunch of patchwork, consulting gigs, and scholarships, and all that kind of stuff across all the co-founders. Um, so yeah, it was messy, and we were living off the absolute bare minimum. But I mean, money wasn't really what was driving us. I mean, obviously money is. a great metric. But I mean, to us,
Mm.
wealth was having a time and being able to work on the things we wanted to work on, and build a company. And then when you've got that sort of mindset, then generally, unless you're doing things really badly, the money takes care of itself eventually. And that's when you
Yeah.
tenacity as well. It would have been easy to call it quits after a year or two of living off scholarships and ramen. But when you stay in it long enough and you do pivots and everything like that, I mean, you only fail when you give up.
Yeah, totally.
So
Yeah, no, I think you lean into a few really important pieces there. One, that there was basically a 6-year journey before you guys were able to reliably get an income, which that wasn't what was driving you, but what the important takeaway there is that it takes time, and you guys benefited from not going down alternative routes and diluting yourselves. You found proactive ways to keep yourselves alive, because basically staying in the game is the battle, and obviously the longer you stay in the battle, the better that kind of secondary part, which you talked about around the money will take care of itself eventually. The longer you stay in the game, the longer you have the opportunity for that to be the case. And it's not a 2-day thing. It's a 6-year thing to become kind of sustainable. And then there was another how many years then until because I know you guys did exit from there, and now you're not in the business. I don't know if you guys are still stakeholders, but what was the then so if stage one was 2008 to 2014, where you were just turning it into a business that worked, is how I describe it: product market fit, sustainable cash flows, um and then there's the next phase, which is obviously growing up as a business, scaling up, and then eventually perhaps not being in the business any longer.
yeah, so I mean, for me, it was probably about another 3 or 4 years. So what we found those first years, setting the foundation, we got quite a feature-rich, robust product that was incredibly customizable, and we were focused on environmental sustainability and management. But then when the health and safety legislation came along in, I think, 2015 or 16, which meant that there was a much more a larger demand out there for health and safety management. We realized that an environmental management or integrated management system could pretty easily become a health and safety management system. It's similar, like environmental management is sort of pushing strategy down from the top, where I feel like health and safety management is about bringing problems up from the bottom and escalating it. So it's kind of a different directional flow of information. But I mean, we had a lot of that stuff in there anyway because we were wanting to be an integrated management system. Um, but yeah, we had put in so much groundwork into that the product was probably ahead of a lot of other products that tried to jump on the health and safety bandwagon when that legislation went through, and that depth really started to allow us to start winning contracts, and then we added a few extra features that people needed, like we were heading towards sort of corporate customers, so that they all needed high level security and single sign-on and all that kind of stuff. So we made sure we ticked all those boxes, and then it became quite easy growing, which was a bit of a shock, a bit of a surprise, when
Hmm.
every dollar you're earning or the customer you're retaining is such an effort to winning RFPs. Often it's definitely
What was the tipping point? Was there a feature? Was there a hire? What was the tipping point that took it from, I guess, being a bit of a grind to all of a sudden kind of feeling like it was a matter of process, I guess?
I mean, there are probably a few tipping points. So, I mean, one was obviously the health and safety legislation and that pivot.
Right.
Was the big one. But I'd say the second one was probably, when we're focusing on the corporate level kind of customer, probably, yeah, like the single sign-on and security piece, because
Right.
they all really want high-level security, and they all have all of these, tech teams that have requirements, and once you can box tick those, then they have no reason to say no, because you tick all of the functionality and feature required for
Yeah. And
so,
and that could have been that'd be a huge objection, basically, if you didn't have it. And those objections are the things that we need to be as businesses. If you have a business, a service, or a product, you're wanting to try and reduce those objections so that you can get closer to a yes. Um, how did you guys grow? Like, what was the sales approach?
so yeah, at that level, a lot of it was RFPs. So you just find on different government websites and different through connections, that kind of
Networks, yeah.
networks, because a lot of the contracts were very large, over 6-7 figures. No, 6 figures, not too many 7-figure ones. But yeah, you'd go through an RFP process, and if you won that, then you get the contract. But then once you had a few of those, then there was word of mouth. The people wanting, health and safety system in New Zealand, there aren't that many of them. So, you don't need thousands of customers or even hundreds of customers. You only need tens of customers, the size of supermarkets, banks, or government departments, to make a sustainable business. So, yeah, it wasn't too hard, finding the customers. It was more about closing, that they needed. I mean, there was year-long sales cycles with them.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
a quick sale, and also implementation cycles, because when you're dealing with tens of thousands of users, all these different government departments and all these different levels of escalation, all that kind of stuff, it was around configuring and customization and working with them to get the product working well for them. And then also there's support ongoing with that. So I mean, that was kind of the nature of the business that had to discover and
Well, that's why cash flow would have been so important for you guys. I guess you guys got paid pretty hefty chunks once you won a client, perhaps, and then the revenue would trickle in after that. Was there like deposits or any sort of, how did you guys manage it on a more practical basis?
Yeah, exactly. It was super lumpy. So we'd probably get, we were aiming to get 2 or 3 year contracts paid up front. And then that would be a huge lump of cash. And then you'd have to make that last and work out what staff you could hire based on that chunk to support that customer and their product. So there was a lot of decision making around that, and making sure that every single dollar was working for the company and growing the company.
Mm. Yeah, that's cool. And how as a entrepreneur and business owner, how have you allocated your resources in order to also prepare yourself for retirement, if at all? Because often for us business owners, it's hard for us to think about retirement because we are going all in on our businesses. Has there been a way that you've managed kind of a soft landing path for a graceful retirement, or is it something that you've kind of just put to the back burner because the best opportunity is perhaps through the equity you build in your own business?
Yeah, I mean, it's the second for me. I'm definitely, that I've heard the word entrepreneur meaning risk taker. I'm definitely more on the risky side of things, because I mean, when I exited that company, I could have bought some property and lived on a salary, and had that nest egg all worked out quite easily. But instead, I've been using that money to fund this next venture and essentially give me the time to build Budgee. And I'm quite all in on it, not completely, but definitely the largest chunk of money that I
Potential wealth,
yeah
etc. is in that.
is in this business. And I mean,
Totally.
it's definitely a risk, because a lot of small businesses fail, but I mean, you can mitigate that because you're in charge, and so you get to build and make all those decisions, and it's all on you, which is both stressful but also freeing, and
Freeing, which is a wealth in itself, right?
yeah, I'd definitely say, like, wealth is so subjective, right? I mean, there's the objective measures of wealth, like money and stocks and gold and all of that, but then I feel like wealth is largely subjective, because, the things that matter, to me, that's time spent with my family and time to like build, cool things. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I've chosen. Um,
Yeah.
and
So yeah, that's really cool. So at what point will Budgie be fully live and available for anyone to use?
yes, so at the moment, just being used with, about 10, 15 customers just to get that product market fit right. And then we're aiming to launch sort of end of Q1 next year. Hopefully that gives us, enough time to get all of the marketing and sales material together and make sure that, all of the features that, our current customers are wanting are in there. And then, yeah, be launching. Be a very exciting time. We've had some, amazing feedback and some, diehard customers already, and some people that, really want to use it that we're, keeping warm for a little bit of time. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that launch. It'll be, very exciting time, and yeah, just to see how it all goes and solve the next set of problems.
Yeah,
like marketing.
which will be growth.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, hope,
I think.
yeah, it's the goal.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that from what we've seen of the product, it's really great, and I think that the business will be heavily skewed in terms of its kind of success over the next couple of years. I imagine by the actual distribution and growth. I think that you've got a great product, and I think that it's all about distribution and growth for you going forward. Once you're ready to launch, once you feel comfortable with that launch. Um, and I think that's going to be a really fun set of problems to solve. And yeah, hopefully we can be helpful where necessary. Because I do think that as an entrepreneur, cash flow management is really, really, really important. Yes, it's everything. Um, so a couple more questions before we end. So one being, what are your views? Oh, you've got a family. What are your views on creating generational wealth, and how would your ideal way of implementing that, not just money, but also lessons, kind of a pathway for success, the infrastructure for your kids to be successful? What do you feel like your focus will be, and how would you, in an ideal situation, approach it?
Oh, it's a good question. So, I mean, I want them to have a struggle, but also a sort of safe landing place from which, they feel, no, they're never going to go hungry or be homeless or anything like that. But at the same time, um, not just be given everything, and that they have to work. Because I feel like the main sort of purpose in everything is, responsibility and trying to make something of your life. So if you just handed everything, I don't feel like there's much fun or interest or much to do in that sort of circumstance. So yeah, definitely give them everything they need to feel safe and secure, and have that safe sort of space, but not enough so that they, get lazy and don't, have that drive. And at the same time, instill in them sort of, what got instilled in me when I was, at university with that group of people, the entrepreneurship drive. If they want to just do, a salary job, that's great. But I think it's great for them to know that, there is another way. And I mean, my dad ran his own business. I mean, he was a farmer. It was just a one man sort of business for a long time. So I was exposed to a lot of that, but never really clicked in my head, that I could be doing it too. So I definitely want them to, have that entrepreneur kind of spirit, injected.
Right. Totally. And then the last one, which is a hard one, what do you what do you want the last 10 years of your life to look like?
That is a good one. I'd love to be building something really cool. So I mean, I think the stuff that you leave is your legacy, right? And I mean, obviously, you leave your kids. So I definitely want to, leave a long and happy impression on them. But I'd also like to, have built, some cool products, or cool, meaningful, things that, help future generations. I've got sort of an interest in space tech and some of that kind of stuff. I know New Zealand's kind of a hotbed to that at the moment. So, I mean, I guess my dream would be leaving the SaaS space and sort of maybe adding to the tool chain of space kind of exploration kind of stuff. But that's sort of like a big, hairy, audacious goal.
Nice. Well, we need those.
But I mean, yeah, Peter Beck did it. He did a great job. So, maybe something in some crazy field of engineering. If I get to a point where I have enough money to sort of build anything, or invest a lot of money into something really cool. I mean, I would like to do something really interesting and not play it safe and do another SaaS company. I'd like to build some sort of cool product that really pushes the envelope. So that's also what I hope to do with the next stage of my life, and I hope that I'm doing that all the way to the end, because I couldn't think of anything more interesting. So yeah.
So you're already living the dream, which most builders are, right? So that's awesome. Thank you so much, Richard, for having the conversation with me today. It's been super insightful, and thank you so much.
No problem, Charlie, and I guess we'll talk again soon. I'd like to hear more about your entrepreneurship journey as well. That'll be
No problem. Awesome, man.
another coffee sometime.
Yeah, totally, dude. When you're up in Auckland, please feel free to drop by.
Definitely. Sweet.
Cheers.
Thanks.